In the epic clash of titans, a new era of Transformers has dawned. This is the world of Transformers 1. This is the birth of a new generation of Autobots and Decepticons as they battle for the fate of the universe. Thank you for joining me on this movie review of Transformers 1. I got back from watching the movie where I was able to get some head. So Transformers, a lot of mixed reviews. There's definitely some divide among fans if this is going to be a good Transformers movie, if it's too kiddie, if it's not mature enough. And I can definitely see why. Transformers 1 looks like a kid's movie. It does. It looks like a kid's movie. It is it looks kind of like Despicable Me. I'm not gonna lie. The 3D animation, don't get me wrong, it's absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, very clean, crisp animation. It's great. It's amazing. And the designs, yes, absolutely 100% cartoony. There's no way around that. However, I'm glad to say, I'm very happy to say that this is not a kid's movie. Definitely not a kid's movie. It can be, yes. There's a lot of, let's see, my kid. I took my 6-year-old kid to watch this movie because I assumed it was going to be more of a kid's movie. It was geared for kids. And for the most part, it kind of is. It's a family-friendly introduction to the world of Transformers. It does not dive directly into the lore. Like, yes, there's lore, definitely lore, but it doesn't take you so deep where it makes it very hard to understand. A casual Transformers fan, if you've only seen the prior Transformer movies, like live action, the one with Shia LaBeouf and so on and so forth, those get moderately complicated within the stories that they are telling. Like, there's so many characters, all about the primes, and there's just so much going on that is easy to miss what's going on. Here, it's very plain, simple, flat and forward. It's nice. It's refreshing. It just kind of tells one story, lays it all out, and that would be the origin of Optimus Prime and Megatron. And I think that this movie's actually did a really good job with that in itself. It starts off with Optimus Prime. Well, before he was Optimus Prime, what they call him? Orion. And then pre-Megatron. These are canon names, but it's awesome because they were referred that before they became who they become. And here, they tell the story of how they are bots, low-level bots, not important. They're miners. They mine for Energon. There's a tier of commandments. There's bots that do transform, and then those above them they also transform, but they're also just big shots. It's an interesting layout. They're almost slaves in a way. They're just mining away. And they kind of just follow orders, that it's just what they're accustomed to. It's the way it's been for hundreds of years or whatever it's been. And they don't question the government. Then we have Orion, Optimus, pre-Optimus. He starts to question the government. He starts to ask questions that he's not supposed to be asking. And, the other bots are trying to silence him, and they're pushing him down. And he's kind of playing the role of the underdog. And the movie does a pretty good job of rallying the viewer behind him because you kind of want him to succeed. You see him get pushed down multiple times and you want to see him succeed. So they're doing a really good job of pushing him. They also tell the story of how he and Megatron are best friends, how they met each other in the mines, how they became buddies, that they have each other's back. They show that they have a strong friendship. As the movie progresses, something happens as to where they both witness the turn. This is where Orion, pre-Optimus, starts to lean towards the way of becoming Optimus Prime. He wants to save his people. He wants to make things better. He doesn't want to end the villain's life, but he wants to stop the evil doing that's going on. And then at the same time, with this same event, D16, that's what it was, D16, pre-Megatron, he starts to kind of turn. He starts going in the opposite direction. Same event, but they both take opposite routes and become completely different, personalities, where it pins them against one another. That's not a spoiler. Obviously one becomes Megatron, the villain, and one is Optimus. He's the hero. I thought they did a pretty decent job as to why he chose the way of Megatron. Like, he's not wrong, but he's not completely right either. His methods aren't all there. He's almost an anti-hero in a way to begin with. He doesn't end up the anti-hero, but he kind of has the mentality of an anti-hero to begin with. And one thing I'll mention really quick too, I thought it was awesome. He starts off with yellow eyes, but as the movie progresses, the eyes become orange. And then later on, they become red. It's like, oh, the progression, the transformation of Megatron. Like, it was awesome. It was cool. But more or less, that is the story in itself, how he became Optimus, how he became Megatron, the baseline story of what their world is, what entails in there. And of course there's Bumblebee, and of course there's, which he's pretty damn funny. He's hilarious. Keegan, he voices Bumblebee perfectly. He's awesome. He's great. Hilarious dude. Almost every joke landed with me. It was pretty good. Awesome. Did he talk too much? Maybe a little bit. But if you know later on in the series where Bumblebee's voice is pretty much non-existent anymore, it's pretty funny to see what happens to Bumblebee, like how he goes from the chatterbox to silence. Like it's just kind of funny in the background, I guess you can say. It's just a nice little Easter egg for those who know. And let me go back to the animation. Like it's beautiful. Overall, it's beautiful. There was no hiccups. There was nothing that I saw immediately that stood out as, oh, that's some bad CGI. That's some bad. None of that. It was clean all throughout. Absolutely beautiful, gorgeous world that they set. And they even got kind of creative. Like there's animals on the surface of their world. And yeah, the animals were kind of like robotic. It was kind of cool looking. It reminded me of Horizon, the PS5 game. Like the animals were they look cool. They look like machines, but they look like animals. Pretty cool looking. The voice acting, like I mentioned, Keegan, Bumblebee, perfect. App's awesome. Great job. Thor, Chris Hemsworth, voicing Optimus Prime. I'm not going to lie. When I first heard that he was going to do the voicing, I definitely questioned it because I associate him with Thor, and I'm just picturing the voice of Thor. And pretty much that's kind of what we got. Yeah. but I will say he did a pretty damn good job. I liked it overall in the end. He carried the voice in the way that Optimus Prime would carry himself. He is no Peter Cullen, but that dude's the GOAT. That will forever be Optimus Prime's voice to me. But Chris Hemsworth, solid, very solid. I enjoyed it. Good job. Brian Henry, the voice of Megatron. Oh man, he was wicked. He starts off so friendly, so like a buddy, and then the way he ends up as Megatron, like, oh man, I would say he's probably the star of the show. He definitely stole it. Great, phenomenal voice acting. Scarlett Johansson, she did the voice of Alita, and she was good. She was solid, no complaints. She didn't stand out for me, but solid performance. Good job. Steve Buscemi, he actually surprised me as Starscream, because you kind of hear his voice, like his regular voice, as Starscream starting off, and then something happens to his voice box to where he gets that Starscream voice, and man, it was nice. It was pretty cool scene. Lawrence Fishburne, he's in there too. I'm forgetting his name, but he's one of the elder Prime bots. He's in the trailer. He's the one who hooks up Optimus and G16, all of them. He helps them with the ability to transform into vehicles and whatnot. So pretty cool, solid. I didn't realize that was him until after I finished. I walked out of the movie theater, but pretty cool, very nice Easter egg. The music doesn't necessarily stand out to me, but all the tracks that were in there, fairly solid. There was no complaints. There's nothing that didn't belong there. So everything flowed fairly nicely. And there's a joke that Minarum made. Now that Linkin Park is back and they're performing again, we can finally have a good Transformers movie. There was no Linkin Park in this Transformers iteration, but maybe for the next one. Who knows? No complaints music wise. Let's talk about humor. Humor was there. Bumblebee, good stuff. Even Optimus. The first half of the movie, Optimus is kind of the troublemaker. He's the kid in school who's playing with the whoopee cushion. He's kind of goofy. It was very not Optimus Prime-ish, if that makes sense, which only makes the underdog story a little better. He's kind of this nobody, you know, and he just makes his way up. He stops being the clown and he starts to take responsibility. And, you know, that sense of justice, he wants to help his people. He wants to save his world, but he becomes that leader. And I think they did a really damn good job with that again. Emotional. Let's see. No, not really. There was some emotional beats are in there, but I didn't quite feel them, I guess you can say. Like towards the end when it was Optimus against Megatron, it was, you know, the betrayal, the friendship. Like there was a part, not to give away too much, but Megatron was on the verge of victory, and then he kind of remembers, like, oh, Optimus, my buddy, oh, geez, huh. And then he does what Megatron does. So that part, maybe some emotional there, but didn't quite get me. It wasn't deep in there, you know. Like it was still good. Don't get me wrong, but it didn't quite get me emotionally. Action scenes. The action was actually really good. I enjoyed it. It looked very well. Again, very well animated. It was super clean. The choreography, I guess, can I call it that? The fight scenes, they were pretty cool, man. Like there was stuff that Transformers don't normally do. I guess just because it is animated, they can do a lot more. And yeah, it was just very nice overall. The action was cool. I enjoyed it. My son enjoyed it. It was a good time in the movie theater. This is overall going to get a good score from me, but it's not all peaches and roses. There's a couple negative bits here and there, and let's jump into that. And can I really even call it a negative? It might actually be a positive, but there was a lot less characters, a lot less Transformers in center, front and center. They focused on 4 characters, and that was probably really a good thing. You know, you could just focus on them, grow them as characters, grow them as the main characters. And yes, there's a lot of other Transformers, a lot of fan favorites. Like Jazz makes an appearance. He's mentioned, but you don't really know it's him. He's just kind of shows up. He's like, hey, I'm Jazz. It's like, okay, cool. He's here, but he doesn't do anything. And, but it was fine. It was fine. You know, maybe for future purposes, maybe in future films, you know, they can make appearances, but I did kind of want to see, you know, some other favorites, but you know, it's fine. It's fine. So you got Optimus, you got Alita, and you got Starscream, you had Bumblebee. Like it was a good balance, I guess. You know, one thing that I did have a small complaint about is the progression. The first half of the movie, like, it's building the story, it's creating that friendship, it's creating, you know, what's going on in the world, and it does take a bit to get to the good stuff. You know, it just takes takes its time to get there, and it's not necessarily a horrible thing because it flowed fairly well. I was entertained throughout the whole thing. I wasn't bored. I wasn't watching, you know, I wasn't looking at my watch like, oh, it's time to get out of here. No, it flowed very well, I thought. And if this even means anything, my 6-year-old was entertained. He was watching 90% of the time. And not only that, he was asking relevant questions like, oh, why is Optimus doing this? Oh, why is Megatron? Like, he was into it. Like, he was, you know, it was pretty cool to experience that. Like, he was into it. But yeah, it did take a minute for it to get to the action, to get to the good stuff. Aside from that, there's not a lot that I can really complain about. I thoroughly enjoyed it. If anything, I would have liked to see a little more of a serious tone. And don't get me wrong, it has a fair balance towards the end. It starts off goofy and kiddie and ends up with that fair balance. And, you know, I think going forward, it's going to be a good trilogy if they go for that or more, who knows? Believe me, there will be a sequel. This is good. You need to watch. Naysayers don't let this one go. Like, don't overlook it. A sleeper hit. It's a banger. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a good entry, a really good entry to the Transformers lineup. Mild fans of the series, I think you'll like this. One thing that I did like big time from this film, comparably to the other ones, like the live action Transformers films have this bad habit of focusing on the humans. And Yeah, on Earth, it's the humans. Yeah, they play a big role, but like you want to see Transformers duking it out. You want to see Optimus. You want to see Bumblebee. You want to see Megatron. Yeah. Shiloh and Megan Fox. Okay, like yeah. Don't get me wrong. I like that movie quite a bit, but the rest they just kind of focus on them so much, and then the family comes in, and the future ones that no longer have Shia LaBeouf. Like still, they're focusing on the military. They're focusing on people. Like I don't care. I know it's part of the story or a different story being told at the same time, but I want to see some Transformers. Here, we don't have to worry about that. You focus on Optimus. You focus on Megatron. You focus on Bumblebee. It's a nice, refreshing telling of Transformers. I very much enjoyed it. I think it's great. In conclusion, I think that this is an excellent entry for the Transformers. I think you'll enjoy it. I think if you take your kid, he or she is going to love it. If you go as an adult, you're probably going to love it. Don't let this one go. It's a sleeper. I'm telling you, it's good. It's really good. I very much enjoyed it. I think you'll enjoy it too. I definitely 100% recommend this to be watched in theaters. My overall score, man, dude, almost nothing bad to say. Almost nothing bad. I'd give this a solid 9 out of 10. Boom, 9 out of 10. That is an excellent score. Holy crap. I don't think I've scored a movie that high in a very long time. I had fun with it. I enjoyed it. My kid loved it. I might even go watch it again. It is a good movie. You should go check it out. Let me know if you watch it. Let me know what you think. Let us know in the comments below. What's your score? Thank you for listening. This is BogusBird signing out. Catch you on the next one.